Hi, hello, hi. Wow, I'm back and so not used to see my forehead on camera. Well, you have to bear with me for now. I said on Instagram that I wouldn't post anything for a while. Well, I clearly underestimated my radiostatic Hazbin Hotel hyperfixation, which is tearing me apart for quite some weeks now. But I did leave myself a little loophole when I wrote that I probably return posting about unsolicited opinions about moths. Well, we are not talking about moths today, but about a demon deer and a man who has a television for a head, and why these two are absolutely and unquestionably made for each other. Okay, maybe that was a little over the top. Radio static or radio silence, whatever you prefer, isn't exactly a fluffy, light-hearted ship. And ever season 1 and Stayed Gone, people were wondering and spinning theories what these two are about and how they come to hate each other so violently. Especially Vox, who introduced himself with a manifesto on perfection and then proceeds to nuke the city with one temper spike after the Alastor name drop.
Our brand is perfection.
Yeah, sure, babe. Whatever you say. I was like many others dying to see what season 2 has in store for us, and holy hell, it was a dream. A dark one, a pretty dark one, but a dream nonetheless. In Stayed Gone, Alastor already gives us a tiny glimpse on what happened. He asked me to join his team, I said no, and now he's pissy. That's the tea. But that no was significantly more destructive than Alastor makes it sound. But before we step into that scene, let's take a step back and look at who Vox is, or well, who he was before he died. And for anyone who wasn't sure up until now, yes, I will be spoiling mercilessly in this video, so you have been warned. At the beginning of season 2, Vox casually drops that he was the leader of an influential group. In episode 7 we finally get a closer look at that past, and it's not pretty. We see Vox as a power-hungry, absolutely manic serial killer who did literally anything to secure himself a spot at the top of the food chain. And honestly, I get why people have a hard time reconcile that with the cute little vintage television boy who looks like he'd happily lie on that bar counter and let Alastor adjust his antenna. But here's the thing, we actually have a clear statement of Vivienne confirming that no, his feelings were real. Vox was genuinely, pathetically, wholeheartedly down bad for Alastor. She literally said he had a crush on him. And what some people find confusing, I consider a brilliant storytelling. We see this extremely dangerous, deeply fucked up man, and suddenly he appears shy, carefree, relaxed, sweet even. This is not a tiny shift, it's 180. So the real question is, how safe must he have felt to even allow that side to come to surface? And how much trust did it take for him to drop the performance and shows a version of himself that he probably didn't show to anyone? And how much courage does it take for a man like Vox, with his ego, with his hunger for control, to offer something that intimate, ruling Hella's partners?
In business!
Now, I realize that may sound like I'm defending Vox, so let me take this clear. Vox is definitely not an innocent baby. Like, he did horrifying things before and after his death, but I love him, it's fiction. Now let's talk about Alastor, because he remains one of the most unpredictable, unreadable characters in the entire show. So it comes naturally, there are just as many theories about his reaction as there are about Vox's feelings. Like, did he reject Vox's feelings because he's scared of intimacy? Or perhaps did his deal force his hands, directly or indirectly? Or, and well yeah, we have to consider this too, was he simply being an asshole? We don't have a statement from Vivienne so far I know, so all I can offer here is my personal take. And my theory is that Alastor is terrified of closeness. In his flashback we see a man who built his entire life on self-reliance and charm. Someone who had to keep smiling no matter what. And then he ends up in a deal with a demon who exploits him without hesitation. On top of that, I believe that both of them, Vox and Alastor, are by nature completely unhinged. These are not stable individuals. They've killed people repeatedly, gleefully. They are narcissistic, sadistic, and fundamentally invested in a power above all worldview. And Alastor specifically is obsessed with never appearing weak. That's why he snaps so hard when Haz calls him out in season 1. That display of dominance wasn't necessary, unless he was compensating for something deeper. So, when Vox shows up offering a partnership that requires emotional exposure, vulnerability and trust, Alastor does what every terrified control freak does. He shuts it down, like immediately, before it can hurt him, before he can lose the upper hand, before he can be seen as anything else than untouchable. And yes, I'll admit my Vox fanheart is showing a little here, but maybe Alastor found Vox's courage, his willingness to rely on someone, almost inviolable in a twisted way. But this isn't where their story ends, not even close, because everything we learn about them in season 2 is because the plot leads them to another confrontation. And well, Alastor goes pretty much straight for the jugular. He mocks Vox, he ridiculouses him, which, to be fair, maybe is earned after having to witness whatever Vox and Valentino were doing. Did I mention they're all awful? Right, just checking. But from here on, I want to focus on their dynamic by now, because it's painfully obvious that Vox still has feelings for Alastor. Not romantic ones, I suppose. They died on that bar floor some years ago, but something far more twisted. Vox is obsessed with Alastor. And what stands out is that desperate need to impress him, to prove he's better, stronger, more powerful, that he won. And here's where the real tragedy begins, because I think that Vox does all of it because he's trying to compensate for a wound that Alastor left in him. He's chasing a hurt he doesn't know how to heal. He's trying to rewrite a moment he never recovered from. In his mind, if he can defeat Alastor, then maybe it proves something. Proves that he's worthy of Alastor's approval, that he's not pathetic, that he deserved to be seen, really seen, in that bar all those years ago. But here's the cruel twist. He will never get that validation, because Alastor has zero fucking interest in healing that wound. In fact, Vox's hurt is quite useful to him, so he keeps reopening it over and over again. And Vox, with all the emotional foresight of a fork in a toaster, lets him. It's the classic, sweetie, let him go, he's not good for you trope, except both are murder-happy demons and one of them runs a media monopoly. And honestly, sometimes I wonder if this isn't Vox's true punishment. Not hell, like as a place, let's be real, he's living his best life in V-Tower, but Alastor, because Vox suffers from this wound deeply. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the final. It's my most favorite scene in the entire season, and the moment that honestly broke my heart a little.
Fuck hell! Fuck heaven! And fuck all of you! As long as I wipe that smile off Alastor's fucking face, I don't care what happens!
His whole face collapses in that impossible expression: grief, heartbreak, madness, despair, hatred. Hatred for the world, hatred for Alastor, but also hate for himself. Because you don't risk your own death unless part of you thinks you deserve it. I'm definitely excited and a little terrified to see what season 3 has in store for us. Will Vox get his Alastor detox retreat he so desperately needs? And most importantly, will he get his body back? Because I refuse to be emotionally invested in a fucking iPad, like I have my dignity somewhere. Anyway, let me know what you want to see in season 3 and what's your take on radio silence. I desperately need to scream with other human beings about it. If you'd like more analysis videos like this, then feel free to leave a like. It truly helps me know whether this kind of content is something you enjoy. Well, then take care of yourselves, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you next time.